Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Tardis Talk. Today we are joined by James Shaw. Hello, James.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We're going to be going through basically a load of different stuff about, RCD2 and just all of the stuff that we've got recently because, Doctor Who magazine came out yesterday. Today. Was it today?
Mm-hmm.
Of recording, and there's been a lot going on with, Disney Plus, rumors about new Dalek designs and all of that. We're seemingly getting a lot, even though, it's a long way off. So it's quite nice change from Chibnall.
100%, yeah.
But from Chibnall's era, and ending Chibnall's era, a lot of people were kind of like, is it going to be shooty? Is it going to be Tennant? Is it just going to be open-ended? For a while, we kind of thought, what's gonna happen here? What did you see happening?
I think I put out a tweet a few weeks before it came out, and I said I'd be more surprised if we saw shooty than David Tennant.
I think I would have had more questions if it was shooty.
Yeah. So I was going into it. I was on holiday. So normally I would do my live streams, but I was on holiday, and I just arrived there. We went to Tenerife. And I'd literally just got there. I missed the episode going out live, so I watched it later on at night. So it was like 1 a.m. that I was watching it, and I said to my girlfriend, there's no way this isn't going to be David Tennant. And I even said, because I think I saw somewhere online, someone speculated that he was going to do the what thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that does sound like something Russell T Davies would do. So yeah, I think I would have been more shocked if it had been shooty that turned up.
Yeah, I think I definitely would have been as well. I feel like, as well, with the what thing, he seems to be arcing back a lot because we had that. Then we had the kind of, I recognise these teeth. And the comic strip was called Born Again.
Yeah. Have you read the magazine yet?
I have seen, I don't have a copy myself, but I did see, and I have read the comic strip of it.
I was reading it in bed this morning, and I don't mean that. I mean 1 a.m. this morning. I was reading it, and one of the interesting things about what you said there just then, I read in the magazine that originally the ending was just going to be David Tennant going what, but it was actually David Tennant's idea for him to mention the teeth. That wasn't from Russell T Davies. That was David Tennant's idea. He suggested it, and then Russell T Davies said, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that."
That is. I wonder now if maybe as far back as when he took on the role the first time, maybe if he came up with that then as well.
Maybe,
because I know that, the first Doctor's scene, I know that obviously when you're regenerating out of yourself, they get a lot of control over kind of what their final scene will be like. I know Capaldi.
Yeah, possibly.
I know Capaldi and 11 had a lot of talks with their showrunners about kind of what they were going to do. I wonder if maybe when they get on set for the first time, they can have a little be like, I think it should be like this.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know, but like I say, for the Power of the Doctor, that came from David Tennant, which I thought was interesting.
What did you think of Power of the Doctor?
I quite liked it actually. The Chibnall era was such a mixed bag. I thought there were parts that I liked. I really liked Jodie's Doctor, and in the Power of the Doctor, I thought she was really good. I really liked Yaz as well, and I do think that she could have done with a massive amount of development in the early stages, in series 11 and series 12. But actually, from pretty much Flux onwards, I thought that the dynamic between when it was just the two of them without Dan, I thought that was really good. And I almost kind of think that maybe that's what it should have been from the get-go without Ryan and Graham. But I enjoyed Power of the Doctor. I thought it wasn't without its issues. And I think issues that have been present throughout the whole of the Chibnall era were present in that episode as well. But saying that, I think it was partly the fact that we knew that it was the last episode, so I kind of could look over some of the things that I didn't think were maybe as good, because I kind of thought it's the last episode, I'll enjoy it at face value rather than being too critical of it. And going into it with that mindset, I did enjoy it. I think particularly the Master, stealing her body, that whole kind of thing. I thought that was particularly good. I liked the fact that they actually went through with it, because it felt like one of those things that could have been a cliffhanger, and then it was instantly resolved.
Yeah.
But the fact that actually it did actually work, when I was watching that for the first time, I thought, okay, like that's interesting. The fact that they are going in, like they're not like holding any punches.
Also, because something I didn't realize until like about I think a couple of days after the episode aired, when I saw it on Twitter, was because when the episode aired, I was thinking like, okay, you're doing this, you can become the Doctor and like kind of ruin her whole reputation, but why not just kill her and just pretend you're the Doctor anyway? Like, they'd never know.
Yeah.
But then obviously there was that bit which I didn't catch in the episode when he was like, please don't let me go back to being me. Is obviously he really did just want to get out of his body. Like he just did not want to be like the Master anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I agree with that.
Like, I feel like
I can't remember what I was going to say.
something like that could be really good for like another Master in the future, whereas they're not wanting to change their bodies because they're out of regenerations or something, but because they're literally, whether it is because of some other kind of drum thing in their head or something like that, but they're literally so crazy within themselves, like, okay, I need to go.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, no, that would be a good idea.
What did you think of, we've talked a bit about Masters, what about the past Doctors that showed up in, because I really wasn't expecting I was expecting, maybe like the 7th Doctor in some kind of flashback thing, but the first Doctor, the 8th, I wasn't expecting any of that.
To be honest, I wasn't expecting even a flashback. There were rumors, I remember of I think of the 5th Doctor and the 6th Doctor maybe being in it, or something. I seem to remember reading a rumor or something about that before. But I mean, I went into it and I don't really know what I was expecting. I think I was so distracted by thinking, who's Jodie going to regenerate into, or is it even going to cut to black? Because that was even a conversation at one point. That I kind of didn't really think about it, and when they started popping up, I was like, it did really surprise me, and particularly with Paul McGann, knowing how much people love him, and wanted him to be back,
and the fact
when
he
showed
was in
up,
his own clothes as well. He wasn't in the robes.
Yes, I thought that was, and actually, you know what? I do think that there are issues with the way that Chibnall wrote his Doctor Who, but actually, there's quite a few scenes in that I really wouldn't change. Particularly when Tegan sees her Doctor in the hologram and Ace sees her Doctor in the hologram. I thought those scenes in particular you could tell that he was a massive fan of classic Who, and those were probably the scenes that he thought about the most and all that kind of thing. And so, I was really surprised when they showed up. And I liked it as well. I thought it was done in a tasteful way. It didn't feel like they were crammed in.
Yeah, it didn't feel like, oh, you're here for... Obviously, it was there for, like, fan service, but then again, it is the centenary special. It has to kind of link back a bit. But it didn't feel like, oh, this literally is just fan service.
Exactly. I'd argue that David Tennant being the 14th Doctor feels more forced into the show than the previous Doctors being in that sort of kind of like a dream sequence kind of thing.
Also, I think as well that, because I saw something again on Twitter with someone like, it's a very fan servicey theme, but also I have a feeling that Ncuti's in the limbo place. So I almost, because we know that Russell saw different versions of, like, the, what's it called, the special, because ages ago Ncuti was announced, he was like, oh, I've just seen it. And then, like, a couple of months later, when he was on the One show, he was like, yesterday I saw the finished version. So he was obviously, like, in the process of it all. So he could have easily been like to Chibnall, oh, you're bringing back past Doctors. Is there any way you can kind of do it in this, like, special weird realm for me? Because I need that for the 60th. And Chibnall was like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that.
I'm not sure if that was what happened. I personally, I think that RTD is going to be completely separate. No mention of anything like that. I think it's probably something very similar to that place that Jodie saw the previous Doctors, but I don't think it's going to be said in the episode, oh, this is the exact same place. And I don't know if the timeline matches up, that I think maybe the centenary was already written. In fact, I'm almost certain it was already written and already filmed when Russell T Davies started. I mean, he was announced in September, and they wrapped filming in October. So it would have been written before. I mean, maybe you're right. I don't know, but I have the feeling that it's going to be, as back to square one as possible in
I
terms
think
of
definitely Series 14 will be 100%.
Yeah.
I think as well with when you said that maybe the kind of the edge of whatever it's called place, the limbo
Yeah.
place could be something
Uh-huh.
new. When you said that, I did kind of think actually it could be something new because in that kind of trickster realm in the Sarah Jane adventures, when they get removed, you see them go somewhere. So it could easily be like when the Toymaker takes people out, they go somewhere as well.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be along those lines. I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it will be. I don't think it will. Any of it will be propped up by something in Power of the Doctor. I think they're going to try and go for it to, if you did switch it back on again and you haven't watched Doctor Who since RTD's era, you can pick it up without thinking, oh, I don't know what that means, or I need to rewatch this episode or that episode or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a more of a hard reboot than like a soft reboot.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Even though Series 11, everything was new, all new characters. It still was every now and then, linking back those references. And then as Jodie Zero went on, that happened more and more. But I definitely think that RTD2 won't be doing that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's weird that in the magazine, the comic strip is kind of a continuation of that cliffhanger in Power of the Doctor, because I don't know whether they'll class that as canon, or because if that is the case, then I have no clue where the 60th is going to pick up from. Like for all we know, the 14th Doctor could have been around for ages for in their timeline by the time we meet them in the 60th. I just think that's weird. I think they should have picked it up straight from the cliffhanger on TV, but
because also how many we get one Doctor Who magazine every month, don't we?
So
we've got it's November now, so we have a year until a year's worth of 12 magazines that could be coming out, and they could release side books, side other just literally just comics. So this could only be the first of like you said, loads of comic adventures for the 14th Doctor.
Yeah, which I think is kind of weird. I don't know. I'm kind of trying not to look into it too much. Obviously, I wasn't looking into it too much. I wasn't on Twitter looking at rumors and all that kind of thing. I'm kind of trying to take it at face value. Yeah. And yes, whilst there are sides of me that are thinking, it annoys me that he's not in Jodie's outfit, or it annoys me that he's being called 14, even though he's got David Tennant's face and all that kind of thing. I'm kind of trying to just sort of suspend belief a little bit and just try and enjoy it for what it is, rather than be too nitpicky.
I think that was a big problem with the Chibnall era that people did, especially I think in Series 12, because obviously Series 11 had out of his 3 seasons, Series 12 was the weakest. So then I think every single thing he did after that was just looked into as much as it could.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But yeah, I think starting it in the comics it's good that we get something to look forward to if it is kind of like that, and we do get them every month. But then, like you said, there could be a lot of gap there because when I kind of picture the 60th starting, I still think it will probably either start with the Doctor's TARDIS landing, probably in Camden. I feel like that shot where he looks out in Camden could very well be the opening.
Yeah, no, that's true. I haven't thought about it like that before, but I could also imagine that as well.
To get the kind of Earth zoom in like he did, and I think we're definitely going to get an Earth zoom in.
That would be very interesting if they did. My only concern with all of that is I don't want it to lean too much on the old. The whole point is it's a new era, and I don't want them to. I don't think they will, especially once Shooty's in. I think it'll all feel fresh. Yeah, I think
once the 60th is out the way, it will 100% be okay, let's just we'll bring other stuff back for maybe a finale or a special. But apart from that, we're just gonna leave everything behind.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it began with the Earth zoom in, like you say.
How do you because you said that we said a couple minutes ago that out of any of the Doctors returning, David Tennant feels the most forced. How do you then are you excited for Tennant, or would you rather the 60th have started with with Shooty, and it's a big start for Shooty?
I think, like I said, it's difficult because being such a big fan of something, it's very difficult to not be like, oh, I would have done it slightly differently. Oh, I would have done it slightly. Whereas, like I say, when you're a kid and you're watching Doctor Who, and I didn't even get into Doctor Who till series 4, so I was watching stuff that had already been created. So there wasn't the opportunity to go, oh, I would have done something differently. If it were me, what I originally envisioned something like the 60th being would have been a short series similar to Flux, like 6 episodes, where each episode is a different Doctor in their timeline, where they discover something similar to the Flux, like a
like
big universe sort of thing. Yeah, and then it all links up, and in the last episode, they all come together, and like that's what that would have allowed one of the specials to have entirely just Shooty in it, like establishing himself as the Doctor, and then you could have put him into a multi-Doctor story. But then I know that creates all sorts of issues. He would have been upstaged by David Tennant and Matt Smith, and it would have been difficult. And the other option is have him start the 60th completely on his own, which I'm also not against the idea. I don't think it has to be a multi-Doctor story. But when you look behind the scenes, obviously his availability wasn't there.
Yeah.
So
he might not have even been cast at that point. When they were like, when the BBC would be like, okay, Russell, we want 3 episodes and we want to know what you're doing for them by like the end of the year. He might not have even cast the Doctor yet. He'd be like, oh shit, what do I do? And then just like, well, okay, David Tennant, you.
Yeah, it's I think it was almost an impossible task for Russell T Davies, really.
Yeah, because doing David Tennant buys him time. Yeah,
and it also brings in the audience that has dropped off over the years. And it's interesting, actually, in the magazine, they talk about how it all sort of came to be. And you've probably seen bits of this on Twitter about it stemming from the tweet-alongs that happened in lockdown.
Because I remember it was I was David Tennant or Catherine Tate when they said something about coming back. And then, then Russell was made showrunner and he gave David the call or something.
So it was a slightly different story actually that was in the magazine, because apparently he looked back on his texts and was able to actually say exactly what happened. So basically, they did the tweet along, and they were having him, Russell T Davies, David Tennant, and Catherine Tate were all in like a group chat afterwards, and they were just saying, "Oh, that was so good," and they were sort of joking, like, "Oh, let's do it again." And Russell T Davies just thought they were sort of joking, and then Catherine Tate messaged him a few days later and said, "I've spoken to David, he's up for it." So Russell T Davies was like, "Okay, are you being serious?" And they were like, "Yeah."
Are you kidding me right now?
So Russell T Davies said that he would speak to the BBC about the potential of maybe doing like a one-off with the two of them, just writing a one-off basically. Yeah, he knew like in the back of his and he knew that Chibnall was potentially only doing 3 years. So he originally just said to the BBC, "Look, I feel like it's my duty to let you know that these two are interested in coming back." And then, from what I gather, it just sort of snowballed from there.
And then they're like, "Oh, well, actually, we were looking for someone to replace Chibnall."
And it's like, so then
money.
And by that point, he sort of said to David and Catherine, "Oh yeah, that would be really good if we did that." So for him then to take over and then say, "Actually, no, we're just going to start with Shooty." Yeah, I think it was a difficult situation that he was in, but I think I'm trying not to look into it too much. If I were head writer, I probably would have done it differently, but I don't write scripts or anything like that, so that's easy for a fan to say. I'm kind of trying to go into it as much of a casual viewer as I can be, and just enjoying it for what it is rather than looking into it too much.
Yeah, I definitely would have done it differently as well, but I still think I wouldn't have had Shooty be in the 60th, not lead it. Yeah.
No, I get you. It's big pressure for his first episode to be in the 60th when there's all these expectations. It's got to, have fan service elements in it and bring back things from the past and all that kind of thing. So, like I say, it was a really tough year to take over, but I think I'm just trusting him. Because he's got a good track record, so I'm just trusting him.
And obviously, with kind of the track record of not just Doctor, Torchwood and Sarah Jane and spin-offs and that.
Yeah.
we now have that big Disney Plus deal,
Yeah,
which is gonna bring in a lot of money. Like, they're
yeah,
talking about 10 million per episode.
yeah.
That's crazy.
It is, and
Like,
it's difficult to sort of. I was talking to my girlfriend about it the other day. I was saying that we were saying that it's almost difficult to comprehend, like what, like 1 million. If that was the budget before, that sounds like a lot. But
yeah,
like 10 million, I think I read somewhere that it brings it up to sort of like Mandalorian level
yeah.
budget,
It has the same as Mandalorian season 1 and more than Kenobi.
which is just crazy.
Like,
Like
'cause
that
when you
is
look at the
crazy.
Mandalorian production, like for series 1, all the different sets they built for like all the
Yeah.
different ships, all the aliens, all like there was a lot there.
I honestly can't even really comprehend what it's gonna look like. Like it's
Yeah,
almost
it's
difficult
gonna
to
be.
imagine.
I think the main thing which the money will be going on, which we'll notice a big difference, will be in practical effects. So like practical explosions and like
Yeah.
makeup. Like location filming. So just like
Mm,
going to America just to film like 2 scenes or something, as well as then actually set design. Because imagine a TARDIS with over a $10 million budget.
yeah, that I like I say, it's almost difficult to imagine. I honestly like I just can't imagine it.
No, I think it's definitely gonna be. Uh, they're definitely gonna have spin-offs because when you have that amount of money, you
Yeah.
and RTD said he wants to do them. We're definitely gonna get the
Yeah.
spin-offs, and I think Disney Plus will end up doing their own exclusive spin-off as well.
That would be interesting if they
I
do. I
really
think it's
think
a
they will.
very fine line to tread because the BBC obviously don't want to lose Doctor Who as a
Mm.
property. And so that's why it's still on BBC iPlayer in the UK. I think I would be very surprised if any Doctor Who content goes on Disney Plus but not on BBC iPlayer.
I feel
I would
like
be very
I feel
surprised.
like Disney might be like, hey, we've basically just juiced up your show for like another 50 years. Do you think that maybe we could have our, buy the rights for a spin-off show and then, they talk about where they'd put it? I think it would definitely go
Mm,
on Disney Plus. But like you said, I don't know where it would go on iPlayer, or maybe they'd have some agreement to put it on BritBox or something.
yeah, I would be very surprised. I'm not putting anything. I'm not saying anything's impossible, but I think I think we're more likely to see something exclusive on iPlayer than we are to see something exclusive on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's interesting that you think iPlayer because I was kind of thinking, they have a lot of options now where to put, spin-offs on because they have
Mm,
BritBox, they have
yeah,
iPlayer, they have ITV3, they still have BBC One and BBC Two if they want to put something on there. Like they
yeah.
really do have a lot of choice for them to put it on.
I don't, it's difficult. Honestly don't know how they would do it. I didn't really think about what channel it would be. Obviously, there's hypothetically one could be on CBBC, but I think, am I right
Oh
in
yeah,
saying that
that's true.
even CBBC is not going to be a thing?
Yeah,
I
I
have a
think
feeling
I
that.
don't know because that whole thing is so confusing because they said that it wasn't because of like they wouldn't be able to afford to keep up because of the license fee agreement. But then
Yeah,
that was like what 2 or 3 prime ministers ago. I know that's in like 1 month, but that
yeah,
was like 2 or 3 prime ministers ago now. So I don't. And then there's a general election coming up, so it's just like what's like
yeah. I'm not
it's very up
sure.
in the air.
I honestly don't know, but I like I say, I'd be very surprised if there was anything that wasn't not necessarily on iPlayer, but just wasn't on
Free
the
for the
BBC platform.
yeah, something that they have the rights to.
Yeah.
I think. Do you think that Doctor Who will have its own section on Disney Plus, like how Marvel and Star Wars do?
I think it probably would. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I think
saw
it
the other
would.
day that they'd submitted a thing so that they own the word Hooniverse or something. I want to say
Oh
a
yeah,
few
so
months
they
ago.
did
This
that.
was.
I'm pretty sure they did that like ages ago, like way back in like RCD1. I think I saw something where
Oh, really?
yeah, so like all the way from back then when Doctor used to be on Disney Channel, they or like some like side little cartoon show or something. They trademarked the name then, and all of these
I reckon
years
it's
it's been
all going to be
forgotten.
based around that word, basically. I think on Disney Plus, I think it probably will have its own section, especially if they have spin-offs as well.
Yeah,
And I think it will all be classed under. Whoniverse.
Do you think it'll have? Yeah, because like you said, it's not. Like they give it names. Star Wars has always just been Star Wars, but the Marvels like
Yeah,
MCU, like
yeah.
it has its sub names. But I'm wondering, they're probably if there's new spin-offs that'll go out, obviously they're going Disney Plus as well. But do we think Torchwood, Sarah Jane, maybe even Classic Who will go on Disney Plus?
I don't know about that because I think in the announcement that they said, it was kind of vague and it seemed as though they were talking about future series of
Yeah,
Doctor
like
Who,
because I know
not
because Netflix when they had Doctor Who on there, they never had all of them on there. There was
No,
always like the most recent two not on there.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. It could probably go either way. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
I wonder if maybe because I know Classic Who's on BritBox.
Yeah.
And BritBox is because I was thinking maybe they don't want to make it so you have to like directly pay to a streaming service to access something, but then
Yeah.
Classic Who and Sarah Jane are both on BritBox. So
Yeah.
and
No,
Torchwood was
that's
gonna
true.
head on there before Twitter took to saving it.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what they'll do with it. I honestly don't know what they'll do, but I think the general rule from what RTD has done in the past and is doing is as many eyes on Doctor Who as possible.
Yeah,
And I don't think putting stuff on BritBox and things like that, I
yeah.
don't think that equals lots of eyes.
I think
I think they'll
if you're
put
wanting
it.
eyes, it's gonna either be BBC One, iPlayer, or Disney Plus.
Yeah, and I think it will be all three of those.
Yeah, probably will be all three. So what would be one spin-off that you would like to see just on the spot?
I think one of the main ones that everyone talks about is something to do with Paul McGann.
Yeah, I think a Time War spin-off would be great.
Yeah, but then there's always a risk with the Time War, and I think I've even seen RTD say this before, that it's one of those things that is more epic in your head than it is on the screen.
I feel like,
especially without a big budget. But now they've got a big budget.
yeah. Also, I feel like Dave the Doctor, when we saw the bits of the Time War, that really handled that well. Like you really thought, okay, this is a mega battle. Like you had the music with the Dalek theme was ramped up. Like there was ships. Like it literally did look like hell, like the Doctor said before.
Yeah, I think maybe if there was a Paul McGann spin-off, I think it should be, and I think I watched this in a Who Addicts video where they were talking about spin-offs. They were talking about this idea that it's the lead up to Night of the Doctor, basically, is the series. So it doesn't actually show it. I mean, the Time War's going on, but it's more about the Eighth Doctor trying to avoid the conflicts rather than just a series just all about the Doctor fighting.
Yeah, I think an idea I had as well, which probably wouldn't. I mean, you never know, it might get used. Is especially now with Disney Plus, is like an animated Doctor Who Time War show, like the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that I could see that working better than just a normal TV shot series of the Time War.
Then like how Clone Wars focuses on like different Jedis and stuff, like different clone battalions. You can have like Romana, you can have Rassilon, the Master, like different Time Lords with their different battalions, like fighting against different Daleks.
Yeah, no, that could work.
When do you for Series 14, back to kind of RTD2, when do you see Series 14 airing? Because there's a lot of if they've started filming. So it's going to be ready for, it probably would be ready for, November of next year, like around then, easily. But like, when do you think it would release?
I think the specials, the 60th specials, will be out in November. From what they've said, I think that's almost confirmed.
Yeah.
I think it's also confirmed that Shooty is going to be introduced in a festive episode of some kind. So I think 3 specials for the 60th in November, leading up to the last one being whatever the closest Saturday or something is to the 23rd. I think then that will end with Shooty being the Doctor. His first proper episode will be Christmas Day. I think they'll bring back the Christmas specials. Agreed. And then I think the series will be sometime in 2024, whether that be Easter or whether it be, even January time or later on. I don't know, but I think that will be the rough schedule, I think.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I definitely think it will be that as well. I'm always just. I don't want to wait that long. I want to have it. I want to have it sooner.
I
But I
know,
do think that we're
but
gonna have a lot when it comes back. It won't. I think the reason I kind of want it sooner is because we're very much used to one series a year, then there's kind of like a year off, then we have to wait another
yeah,
one. But I think when it comes back, not only is there going to be like a series a year, but there's going to be like a series plus a spin-off or two a year.
yeah, and I think it's a fine line because I think Marvel stepped the mark a little bit on that, on
Yeah, they
having
definitely
too
have.
much content. But I agree with you. I think, and to be honest, the thing is that we're used to a year without Doctor Who
Mm,
with with the way that Chris Chibnall was, where very secretive.
yeah.
Whereas I think as soon as they start filming with Shooter Gatwa, which I think is in December now.
Yeah, because I know that they're setting up the studios because of
Yeah,
Rachel's Instagram. She's showing some stuff of that.
I think that as soon as they start filming, I think we're going to get a companion reveal. I wouldn't be surprised if that was on the 23rd, on the
Yeah, I
anniversary of
think that
this
will be
year.
companion reveal. I think we could even get
Um,
like a still image of the Doctor and companion both in outfit.
yeah, yeah, I think we'll get. That's the thing. A year without Doctor Who, and a year without Doctor Who with all of the promotion and the
Yeah,
set
it's gonna feel
photos
very
and all that
different.
kind of thing. Yeah, and so actually, I don't think it's gonna feel like a long wait because I think every single month, even with the magazines. I mean, I've read the Russell T Davies book where it's all about the writer's tale, and and I know that he is a massive fan of the magazine, and
Mm.
I think he will give an exclusive to the magazine basically every month that it's out until the 60th.
I
So
think
I think
there's
there's going to be loads of info.
and like we already talking about spin-offs. One slipped off my mind because it's rumored to be back and it probably is back. Is Doctor Who Unleashed?
Yes,
Confidential, but now
Confidential.
called
Yeah,
Unleashed. I
I
think
loved Confidential, and I
yeah,
think
so
it
did
would be
I.
great if they brought it back.
I
And
think
I
we
think
could.
there's so many. Go on.
I was gonna say I think we could even see something like that before the 60th because I know around the time Rose came out, there was like something, or I think David Tennant even voiced it. It was like talking about making, bringing back the new series and how they got
Yeah,
everyone back, and that came out before Rose.
they
So
may bring something
we
like
could
that out.
easily
It's
get
definitely a
like,
possibility.
yeah, like a documentary of how it happened. Like we saw with, like you
Yeah,
said with that text on the tweet along.
yeah,
We could see like a whole documentary of how it actually came back, and then it leads up
yeah,
right into the episode. And maybe we get an exclusive scene or something, like a little clip.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that I
That
think we're definitely going to see something like that.
it's definitely possible.
But yeah, I think all of the magazine stuff is going to be, it's going to help fill the gap compared to what we're used to. I wonder
Yeah,
if
I agree.
we'll get like a TARDIS image kind of reveal.
What, inside or outside?
Inside, I think outside's inevitable from filming, but
Hmm.
like inside, I don't know if I
I'm not
want it.
sure.
Like obviously I'd like it.
I
If they're going to give it to me, I'll be happy, but I feel like I'd almost like the surprise.
I think they'll save it. I
Yeah,
think.
because otherwise you haven't got
Although,
much.
yeah, I think they will save it. Although saying that, series one, all of the trailers for series one were inside the TARDIS, so it's possible. But I think I could imagine them having the 60th come out. I think they might even show it in cinemas, like they did in the
Yeah.
50th, stuff like that. And imagine like that first shot where they're walking into a big budget TARDIS interior. I personally think they'll save that.
I think you'll see a shot of them like walking in through the doors, and then you don't actually see what it looks like.
Yeah,
I think the TARDIS is gonna be very big, and I'm hoping as well that it's gonna be like how especially Whittaker's was towards the end, in like Flux. The lights were changing all the time.
yeah,
I really think they should rig it fully with LEDs. Obviously, I know the Tenant TARDIS got rigged with like red LEDs, and then
yeah.
that showed up like every now and then in Series 4. But I feel
Hmm.
like it's going to show. I feel like they definitely should make sure everything is like very lit up with loads of
Yeah,
different colors, so you can be like, okay, we can really like make this set feel alive.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think the TARDIS reveal should be saved, like especially the interior. Exterior, I think.
Like you say, I think the exterior, you will see that from, and they might even keep the Jodie. Obviously, they are in the 60th. They might even keep the Jodie Whittaker one. I think they probably won't. but I don't think they'll show the interior. I think they'll keep stuff like that under wraps.
Yeah, I think it's good to keep some things under wraps.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, like, I know Russell said before, because I think when all the filming stuff came out, people were like, why are you literally showing us basically everything at the time of when they were filming in Camden? Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, it's a very talkative fan base. I don't know. I think he probably was having a little dig at Chibnall when he was like, it doesn't work, all the secrets.
No, and it doesn't, to be fair, in the modern day.
Yeah,
and I think that we've only seen a very small section. I think there is a lot we haven't
in the trailer. Like, when you look at the trailer, that's basically.
I think that trailer was very carefully put together.
Yeah, it's very much what we've seen.
Yeah,
and
it's literally everything,
shot, and then shooty.
Yeah, 100%.
And the running shot means nothing. So literally, the only thing we got from that trailer that we didn't know was shooty.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's him with some clouds, so it could literally be anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
But with RTD, coming back and changing a lot, how long do you think he's gonna stay back?
Oh, that's difficult, because as soon as he was announced, you worry about what might happen when he leaves again. And to be honest, I was worried about that all the way up until the Disney Plus deal.
Yeah,
and I think now that it's such a big deal, and if that is true, that all that money's going into Doctor Who and they're making it a massive franchise, I think firstly they'll have access to writers that normally Doctor Who wouldn't be able to attract. But secondly, I personally think the best case scenario is that whenever Russell T Davies decides to leave, he will stay on as some form of executive producer or something like that.
In episode 1 of the podcast, we briefly mentioned, how long will he stay, and I've heard that other places as well. I definitely think he will stay on to guide the show forward, just like as long as Bad Wolf holds the rights, basically.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think that will be. I don't think they're just going to sign Doctor Who on with Bad Wolf and the Disney Plus deal and everything, and then as soon as Russell T Davies leaves, all of that goes. I think that would be the weirdest thing to happen. I don't think that will happen.
It would just feel very weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Imagine going back to a 1 million budget after you've seen the episodes with 10 million. It would just be odd.
It would almost be like the BBC is like, okay, we're in trouble here. Put it on live support for like an hour, and then we'll take it off.
And I think that I think I'm right in saying that I saw an interview with Rusty Davis where he was saying he was already coming up for series 15.
Yeah, so he said, I think someone said something about, his politics in Doctor Who, and he said that global warming is impacting a lot of his scripts of series 14 and 15.
Yeah, that was the interview that I saw. So that confirms that we've got him for at least 2 series. I think he'll probably do about 3 or so.
I think he's gonna do. You see, no, I think he's gonna do more than just 1 Doctor, because I don't see Ncuti staying for more than 2 series.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
because he's a very quickly growing actor.
Yeah.
Luckily, Doctor Who swept up, but now he's getting very big, very quick. Hollywood is going to be calling. And I mean, Doctor Who have the budget to keep him now, but it's not just about that. He's going to want the opportunity of being in like other franchises or something.
Yeah.
So I agree. 2 series, then a new Doctor will come on. But then if that Doctor stays for like, the 3, then RTD would have been back for 5.
Yeah, that is true. I honestly don't know how it will work. I mean, I saw something today or the other day that Ncuti said that he was really enjoying Doctor Who, or that he wanted to stay for a long time, or something along those lines, that gave me the impression that he had the intention to stay for a while. But I agree with you that I do think things change, and I do think there will be job opportunities that he will think to himself, you know what, I really would like to do that, or I would like to explore that. So I agree with you. I think Ncuti will do 2 or 3 series, but whether or not Rusty Davis stays on after that, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know.
Like we said with Russell being like some kind of high up executive, even for the next showrunner, I think RTD will get the next pick again.
Yeah, I think he will, and I think it might even be the case that he stays on as executive producer for quite a few series.
Yeah, I think.
But at least
2 showrunners he's going to be there for, like outside of him.
And I think he will sort of wean himself off the show, if that makes sense. So I think he'll start maybe with the obviously anniversary specials. I'd imagine he's written all of them,
Yeah.
and then series 14 he'll probably write. I don't know. Let's say if there's 10 episodes, he might write maybe 4 or 5 episodes. But maybe by the end of his run, he'll go down to maybe only writing the opening and the closing of the series. And I think he'll, rather than just being there 1 minute and then gone, I think he will slowly wean himself off and allow someone else to slowly take the reins, rather than just an instant handover like they've had for the last few showrunners.
That could also work really well with like, because you know how like David Tennant was thinking about staying for series 5. If they kind of did that weaving thing with like Russell and Moffat, Tennant probably would have stayed, because it's not like, oh, bam, you showrunner, bam, you doctor. It's like it's, like you said, you don't really even notice it. So I feel like he could easily stay with Ncuti, and then when he gets his new doctor, start the weaving from then. So then he doesn't have to write like all 3 full-on seasons of this new doctor. By the end of it, a completely new showrunner is running that doctor, but it's the same doctor for 2 showrunners.
Yeah, I could see that happening. That's what I think will happen. But again, like, I have no clue. But I think that's what will happen.
So for series 14 and the 60th in November, will you be doing your live streams for those specials and that series?
I think I probably will. I want to do something, definitely. Like I said, I couldn't do Power of the Doctor because I wasn't here, and I was half tempted to do some kind of review that I filmed when I got back. But it sometimes kind of feels like the moment's gone. You know, I think one of the reasons that I like doing the live streams is I find that my opinion is very easily swayed about something like Doctor Who. So I might come out of an episode and be like, yeah, I thought that was quite good. And then I'll go on Twitter or I'll watch someone else's review and I'll see the issues that they had with it, and it will make me see it in a slightly different light.
Yeah, I definitely get that as well.
By doing the live stream, I don't go on Twitter or anything beforehand, and that you're getting my completely unfiltered opinion without any other influence. But I will definitely do something, I think, whether it be live streams, whether it be a review that I film afterwards or something. I honestly don't know what it'll be. But I think I'll be so excited come next November that I think I'll do something.
Yeah, I think it's going to be next November for Doctor Who content creators. It's just going to be a very busy time.
Yeah,
like you're going to have to make sure that month is like as clear as you can get it. It's like even into December, because then you're going to have the Christmas. Like you're not going to have a break. Like what 23rd November. That's very much towards the end of November.
And even arguably as soon as the filming starts of series 14 with Ncuti, I think. I mean, not that I necessarily make that type of content, but people who analyze, the filming photos and stuff like that, I think there's going to be content for them to make basically for the whole of next year up until the 60th comes out.
Yeah, I think there will be as well. There's going to be a lot for... Yeah, basically, there's just going to be so much to talk about that people aren't used to talking about because we haven't had it.
Yeah.
So, talking a bit about, the magazine again and kind of revamping things for the next era. Before we get on to, like, what the magazine said and do we think how they look like, do you think that the Daleks should be revamped or not? So, like, design change.
I think that the actual design of the Daleks, I think, is fine. And I think that they've tried to change it up. And I don't think it needs to be changed up.
Yeah, I think, but even when you look at Classic Who, people are like, oh, they're changing all the time. They weren't changing the design all of the time. They were changing, like, the colours.
I think the colour could change. And I do quite like the grey or the silver with the blue.
Yeah.
I think that I could really potentially see that working well.
Especially
because
with
the thing is
budget.
about... Yeah, and with Russell T Davies's first era, it was the whole color scheme was quite brown, gold, that kind of I don't know what the word is, but like kind of like a rusty feel.
And also, like, these were the Daleks that were like, when RTD, he didn't know they were going to stay on for this long, probably.
No,
when he brought them back, it was because every single Dalek we saw in RTD1 was a survivor of the Time War. Like it wasn't like here we go, they were made new. It was like they just escaped the Time War. No.
So I think there's nothing wrong with the design. I think change the colour by all means. I don't even really mind what colour they are. but I think keep the design, or keep it very, very similar, because I think people won't like it if you change basically anything other than the odd little tweak.
Yeah, I think also I feel like it doesn't. You can update it here and there, like you said. Maybe I know some of like the Time War Daleks we see on Big Finish and like some of the comic books around like their bump things. They have like another black ring around those.
Yeah, and I don't mind stuff like that, to be fair. Or even even in the Stolen Earth and Journey's End, they had that. I can't think what the word of the Dalek was now. The red one. I used to really like that when I was a kid. Supreme Dalek. Like they have changed it up here and there, so I don't have a problem with that.
I think especially with a new budget as well, we should make sure that we get to see, if there's like different Dalek commanders that we meet or something, that they look different.
Yeah, I think that could be cool. But like I say, I think stick to very, very slight redesigns and colours, not a massive Moffat era style redesign, because I think that went too far.
I think it went too far too quick.
Yeah, 100%.
I think if they had the paradigms, or if they had the Time War Daleks be like, start having a few different colours every now and then.
Yeah.
And then you had like paradigms that were like, just black, and then you had the paradigms be coloured. It would have worked a lot better.
Yeah, no, I get you.
What is your, out of, the current Dalek designs, what is your favourite?
Ooh. Like, do you mean like just Russell T Davies design, or do you mean like a specific
just
one
like
within that?
Just like, I don't know, let's say your top 3 Dalek designs ever, have all the Daleks that have ever been. So like all the different Supremes, all the different normal ones.
Yeah.
What would be your top kind of 3?
Well, I would instantly disregard Classic Who, purely just because I haven't seen enough of it to know. I would say the normal bronze RTD Daleks are probably the best.
Yeah.
But I do like the Supreme one from Series 4. I'd probably say those two are my top 2. I wouldn't really say anything else. I didn't really like the Chibnall, the one that was made from scrap metal. I know that was just for that one episode, so I know that doesn't really count. But I wasn't a big fan of that. I wasn't a big fan of the Paradigm ones. I think if they'd have just had the Paradigm colours, but with the Russell T Davies design, that would have worked fine. So yeah, I would say those two. Those two are my favourites.
I feel like my favourites would be, like you said, the Time War design. Probably like the Genesis of the Daleks design. I really like how they're just... and I'd love this colour scheme for the Time War ones if they redid them. Like, just the very dark colours, because they do look very, like, kind of creepy and menacing. And it's
is that the design where they're, like, sort of, like, charcoal grey?
Yeah.
And the balls are, like, black?
Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah.
Because it's not like, obviously, the Time War is meant to be bronze, because, they're, like, in some war, like, kind of, like a tank. But they're not doing, like, what other Daleks have done, especially with the Paradigms. Oh, we're fancy colours. It's just like, we are literally here to kill you. We don't care about our aesthetic.
Yeah, no, I get you.
I also kind of, a bit going against what you said, I did really like the defense drones.
The defense drones. I completely forgot about them. I completely forgot about that. To be honest, it's difficult because I think sometimes your judgment is clouded by nostalgia. And I think a lot of my judgment is clouded by the fact that I grew up in the Russell T Davies era. Those were my Daleks. So I just see that should be what Daleks look like. I didn't really like the defense drones ones. I completely forgot about that design. But
see, I don't think I'd like them with any other Doctor.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. They do work.
They work well with Jodie and her era. Like you said, with I know, the bronze Daleks, they were made very much to match Rose's height. The Paradigms were very much made to match their actor's height. Like, you could definitely tell that had gone into the kind of defense drone and the recon scout as well. Because Jodie's quite small, in height and just general kind of current body shape at the time she was filming. So, like, you have to kind of match it to the Doctor. And,
I get you.
It looked very good on screen when she was with them. If she was there with the Paradigms, it would have been a bit like, this just looks a little bit off. Like, the proportions on screen would look a bit wrong.
I get you.
But, I think... Also, I really like the Imperial ones, the kind of gold and silver. Wait, gold and silver? No, the white and gold.
Yes, the white and gold. That was what I had in my mind when you were first talking about Genesis, because I couldn't remember what they looked like in Genesis at the time. But the white and silver don't look bad either. The white and gold. Sorry, I've done the same thing as you. White and gold.
Yeah. I think, but I would love that color scheme. I think it would look all right on the Time Wars, but I still think Time Wars should stick with, like you said, the kind of, if they do a light color like silver and blue, they shouldn't be like gold, like pure gold.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Do you think then that we said before we think RTD's going to start on a new plate, but do you think he should, in any capacity, link to the Timeless Child?
I think stuff like that is going to be completely just brushed under the carpet.
Yeah.
I think in the same way as, I mean, nothing against the Timeless Child arc, in the same way as Moffat didn't really mention anything that happened in series 1 to 4 from series 5 onwards. I think that they want a new slate, especially with the fact that they're now trying to bring in new viewers on Disney Plus and things like that. I think that they are going to go as back to basics as possible without making the current fans think, what, we already know all of this. It's not, I don't think it's going to be as back to basics as series 1, but I think it's maybe going to be as back to basics as maybe series 5 or maybe series 10, something like that. Maybe even series 11 potentially. But I don't think the Timeless Child is going to be mentioned again. I think that story is done. It clearly didn't resonate with a lot of people, so there's not even really any reason for them to bring it back if they weren't already. So no, I think it's just going to be completely just forgotten about, and it's going to be the same as when the Doctor said they were half human, like that kind of thing. It just completely gets just swept under the rug, and it happened technically, but it's not constantly referred back to.
And then probably in like a few years' time, maybe even like series 20, like somewhere very further down the line, we'll get like a kind of line where the Master or someone will be like, oh yeah, remember that time when I lied to you?
Yeah, it'll just become, it'll just be something that people don't remember. I don't think it will be anything considered serious at all.
No. Talk about, we talk a lot about Fresh Slate Series 14. The thing I'm next going to ask is kind of, it's different from Series 14 and the 60th, because, the 60th is meant to be big and grand, and it's meant to celebrate everything that's come before it and set up the future. So for both separately, Series 14 and the 60th, do you think he will or should Murray Gold return?
I think it's a difficult one, because I don't want it to just be a recreation of Russell T Davies's first era.
I do think that he should be in the 60th though.
I think it would be weird to see David Tennant and Catherine Tate without Murray Gold's music. I agree with that. I think that would be weird. So I think I'd be surprised if he wasn't back for the 60th. Whether or not he should be back for Series 14, I'm kind of indifferent about it. I mean, when I watch old Russell T Davies, or even just any episodes where Murray Gold was the composer of it, I think the music is just so good that I kind of think...
Yeah, like if I'm listening to let's say Murray Gold's, some of his scores or whatever, and you ask me that question while listening to them, I'll be like, yep, get him back.
Yeah, and I think kind of, again, going back to me trying to just watch it as a casual viewer and not overanalyze too much, I think if I'm watching it, as long as he's not bringing back loads of the old music that was in the old Russell T Davies, there's no reason why it can't sound different while still having him as the main composer. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind someone else. But I do feel that they should have someone who creates more recognizable themes.
Yeah,
I thought for Jodie,
Segan's was just like background music.
Don't get me wrong, like there were some elements, particularly with Jodie's theme, I thought was quite recognizable.
I feel like with her themes, the Dalek themes and the Cybermen themes used, especially the Cybermen over the Daleks ones, it was like, okay, these are memorable. You hear the theme and you just know who it's going to be about. But then there's not, Donna's theme, it. Same for Martha, same for Rose, same for like Amy and Clara. But then Graham, Ryan, Yaz, and Dan, there's
wouldn't
nothing.
even know their theme, even if you played it to me.
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell.
No, I agree. So that's what I would say. I wouldn't say it has to be Murray Gold, but I would say that they tried something new. But I think I my personal opinion is I preferred Murray Gold's music, or that style of music at the very least.
Yeah, like all his motifs, and like it was definitely good having. I think it definitely came with time. As I mean, he's a great composer, but I feel like a lot of the motifs and stuff definitely came with time, because you'd keep bringing them up every now and then. Like, in series 2 or more, mainly series 3 and 4, if the Doctor's talking about Rose, you'd hear like little bits of her theme.
Yeah.
Obviously, when she comes back and they run, you hear it. Like when you have a long running composer, it works a lot better. So I think, even if Russell does, let's say he just does 3 seasons and then leaves, the composer should still definitely stay for longer.
Yeah, even if it's not Murray Gold, I think it should be someone similar, and I agree with you that they should maybe be in it for the long run. And I imagine they probably will be with the whole Disney Plus deal and stuff like that. Or maybe they'll have a team of composers. I don't know how it works on stuff like The Mandalorian.
Yeah, because there's like different composers for like different things, sometimes even different episodes.
Yeah. So maybe that as long as they've all got the same sort of style, I think that could work.
Yeah,
and it would obviously ease the pressure. Yeah,
because you could easily have like Murray Gold be like the head composer to make sure they're all kind of staying in line and along the same themes, and then allow them to like use each other's work, like make different renditions from it.
Very similar to what we said earlier about Russell T Davies sort of being an overseer rather than just the sole showrunner.
I think that's the way it's going to be from now on, because there's, we've had a long run now of New Who. We know who's good and we know what works. Yeah. So, but we still want to keep new people coming in to keep things fresh. Yeah. So the ones that work, put them right at the top to just oversee everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that is how it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's something you want to see from Series 14? Or just like, the next, Shooty's era, like after the 60th?
I think one of the main things that I loved so much about Russell T Davies' first era was just the down-to-earthness of it.
Yeah.
And I hoped that Chibnall's era would have a bit more of that, but it didn't. When we met Yaz's family, I thought maybe that was a sign that we were going to maybe go back to that more. I was saying, we were watching Benidorm the other day, and I was saying that Madge in Benidorm was Clara's grandma.
Yeah.
In is it not? No. What's the Time of the Doctor? And it was just the fact that it was so their families and just the fact that Amy's. I know it was part of the story, but the fact that you never really meet Amy's mum or dad after series 5. I felt that sort of down to earthness really was just really interesting. Yeah, and it was really interesting. Like moments like in series 1 where they come back and Rose has been missing for a year.
Yeah,
the fact that we know her mum, her boyfriend, the people who are around her, it creates more of an impact. If it was just
something like like you said in series 1 with like those characters, I really like as well. Is at the end of, I think, World War 3, when the Doctor, Rose, Mickey, and Jackie are all outside, and then Rose takes off from the Doctor, and we know they're going to go do their thing. And then, you see Jackie go back to walk inside, go about her life. Mickey just sits on the bin and starts reading his paper. Like, it feels like, okay, there is a world outside of the Doctor and Rose, and you're going to see this, you're going to keep going back to them. So it's a reason to stay invested, like, even outside the others.
And I think we will get that. I think that is just Russell T Davies. I don't think that's an intentional decision.
Because you can really see that in like years and years as well.
Yeah, 100%. So I think, and even to an extent, it's a sin. Yeah, with them all in that flat and stuff. I do feel that that is just how he writes. So I don't think it will be a conscious decision. I think we will get that.
Do you think we'll see then more of? Because, we're saying starting a clean slate and stuff. Obviously, last time his way of kind of starting a clean slate was introducing the Time War.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to get either, something like that or slash I guess, do you think we're going to see more of Gallifrey and like a return of Gallifrey and the Time Lords, like how they were in Classic Who?
I honestly don't know. I think it's so messy.
Yeah.
The situation with Gallifrey is so messy that
Like,
I don't. Go
Dave the
on.
Doctor cleaned it up.
Mm,
And then after that, he just kind of went off and ruined it again.
yeah, I really don't know how. Like, what I don't even know what the best thing for them to do is, whether to bring it back. I mean, I know that I think Russell T Davies destroyed it because he personally found that whole storyline from Classic Who quite boring. I think I saw somewhere, and I can see why, because it added to the Doctor's character, him be the only one. I mean, that is such a staple of his first era that it's going to be weird seeing Russell T Davies write Doctor Who without mentioning Last of the Time Lords. But I really don't know. I trust that Russell T Davies is good enough that he will do it justice whatever he decides.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of a lose-lose situation because they can't really destroy it all over again.
I feel like
and they can't.
if they bring it back, it has to almost be like, okay, some Time Lords escaped and set up on a totally new planet.
Maybe something like that. I mean, they could. I've only watched 1 or 2 episodes of Loki, but they could hypothetically have Time Lords and Gallifrey be fully back and treat it like that. You know, we don't always have to keep going back to it, but maybe I really don't know how they could do it, and I'm interested to see how it will be done,
because I think Gallifrey will be in the next era.
Yeah, I think it probably will. And I think one of the reasons that it wasn't included in RTD1 was just because he didn't want to confuse viewers. And I think I've seen interviews with him now where he says the sci-fi audience, they're so much more switched on than they were. You know, they're because you're watching Marvel and you're watching all this Star Wars and stuff like that, people can comprehend a lot more than they could.
I think definitely a start to that was WandaVision, making us hang on for scraps for weeks.
Stuff like that, I think it really, and even stuff like Spider-Man, you know, the introduction of multiverse, stuff like that, I think it really keeps people's brains ticking over, and I don't think there's any reason for him to go back.
Yeah, because like you saying with how kind of sci-fi people have learned things now, it's like when we all first watched, kind of series 1 and series 4 and stuff like that with, Bad Wolf and torture name drops. We didn't really realize it unless it was like pointed out to us. But whereas I've recently been watching and going through, we haven't even finished series 4 yet. We've just done the next Doctor. I've been going through Doctor Who with my friend who's never seen it before.
Yeah.
And like you said, instantly he picked up Bad Wolf Tortured first time, like before it was even directly said, "Oh look, we've missed this."
I think it's just bred into people now. I think, but like I say, the amount of media there is, so much consumption. I think people are learning the tricks, and you see people with all the Marvel series and Star Wars series on Disney Plus and stuff. People absolutely picking it apart, and I think people are a lot more in tune with it than they were.
I think something I did find interesting and that maybe RTD should look into, especially if, he's working on series 15, and he's probably thinking of a series 15 story arc as well.
Yeah.
Is, when they first mentioned the Timeless Child in the Ghost Monument, no one thought anything of it.
No, I certainly didn't.
And then when it popped up, everyone was like, oh, that.
Yeah.
So, like, if he is planning for a series 15 arc, maybe just here and then name drop very, very tiny things in series 14. So then, we think, oh, it's nothing, because series 14 finale's done, obviously literally just nothing. But then series 15 comes around, it's like, oh, it was something.
And I think one of the things, have you read The Writer's Tale, the book?
I haven't.
Really, really good. Honestly, if you like Rusty Davis, I would say anyone, even listening, it's such a good book. But one of the things that I learned about Russell T Davies is he is very good at making it look like he meant for something to happen.
Yeah.
Unlike other showrunners, I feel that Moffat and Chibnall aren't as good at that, and it looked shoehorned in. For example, Time of the Doctor, where they mention, oh, Matt Smith's it's actually the last regeneration. He doesn't have any regenerations left. Yeah. I think that would have hit a lot more if that had been mentioned from series 5 onwards.
Yeah, because then it'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
this Doctor really is like coming. Like when when we start to know, okay, he's going to be coming to his end soon. You're really
Yeah.
starting to think, okay, what are they going to do here?
Yeah. So I think it may well be the case that Russell T Davies, plants seeds for future series. But even if he doesn't, I think it'll seem like he did.
Yeah.
Because of he is just good at that.
I mean, like you can even see that with series 4, like with the whole in Turn Left, all the bad wolf being everywhere. When he wrote the series 1 finale, he wasn't planning that. He didn't even know they were getting a series 2.
There's so many things, and like I say, in that book, it makes you realize how much he just sort of just decides on the fly and makes it work. But it's written so well that you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be stuff like that in series 14 and 15.
Well, for series 14 and 15, and looking back to just kind of series, I'd say 10 onwards, we've had a lot of Master, like
Yes,
series.
we have, yeah.
I'll just go from series 8, 9, 10, 12 and 13 all had the Master. There has only been one, which is series 11, which was the soft reboot, which wasn't meant to have anything linking back.
Yeah.
That hasn't had him in it, or her, for Missy.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think we should either see the Master or a new Time Lord villain, or just let kind of Time Lord villain just have a little break for a bit?
It's a difficult one. I do think the Master is a bit tired, especially the Master coming back with Cybermen. That's happened so many times. I think I wouldn't be against another Time Lord villain. I wouldn't be against that, especially if it works really well. I think with the Master, I think one of the biggest shocks about Series 3 was that people, from what I gather, people didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
So I think all these Master reveals now, it's like my initial reaction when Sacha Dhawan was revealed to be the Master in Spyfall Part 1 was just like, no, surely they're not bringing him back.
Yeah, that was mine.
Soon.
My first reaction was because how when he was in his, we didn't know it was his TARDIS at that point, like that house. He said he had loads of books on the Doctor. I thought, oh, he's pretending to be the Master.
Yeah, I initially thought that. I thought surely this is. Have I read? So, but yeah, I mean it was, and I personally think the Master needs a good break, a good few years. I think
it's also turned into very much now like it's almost become like the Daleks and the Cybermen have, especially the Daleks, like, okay, new Doctor, they need to face these three villains. And the Master's kind of been added to that list. Yeah,
no, I agree. I definitely think, I personally think, give it a break. But then again, like I say, with my casual viewer hat on, I'll enjoy it regardless. If it's written well and it's written by Russell T Davies, I'll enjoy it.
I also think if the Master does come back, it will be Missy, right, in the form of a Missy.
I think that would be interesting if it was.
Because I remember when Ncuti was announced, Russell said, he was like, oh, I really like the idea of having the Missy.
Yeah, no, I think, it could be. It could well be. We still don't know for sure whether Dhawan was after before Missy, so it could even be Michelle Gomez, hypothetically.
Yeah, I would be very much down for that because she is my favorite.
I don't think it will be, just purely because I think they want to go for a whole reset of everything. But I personally think give it a few years rest, personally.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Do you who's your favorite Master, by the way?
That's a difficult one. A few years ago I would have said John Sim. Purely because of nostalgia, and I would have said the same about the TARDIS exterior, the TARDIS interior. I was fully David Tennant. Over the last few years, I feel like I've slightly sort of opened my eyes a little bit more. It's not necessarily. I think I like Jodie's TARDIS exterior the best, and things like that.
Yeah.
I would say with the Master, it's really difficult. I think I'd be tempted to say Missy.
Yeah, she is my favorite, but by far as well, she is my favorite. Not like that's why it would take a very good Master for it to beat Missy for me.
I mean, I liked Sacha Dhawan's Master, but I think he kind of is on the level as John Sim. I felt that Missy was written with a bit more depth. She wasn't just purely evil. There was more to it there.
Yeah, I think she was more like the classic Masters.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Classic Who, but I know what you mean by that. So I'd probably say Missy, but I wouldn't say I have like a really strong opinion. Not as strong as you. I would say they're all sort of on somewhat of a level playing field for me.
Yeah. Like you said as well about, Tardis exteriors and stuff. I think I've
Mm.
definitely recently, over the past like kind of 3 or so years, opened my eyes to it as well. And I'm like, very much before like you, I was like, okay, David Tennant TARDIS is my favorite, all of
Yeah,
this. But
yeah.
now, like, my favorite exterior is like the Series 5 exterior. And then
Okay.
my favorite, like, I don't know what it is, but I really like just the clean, polished look of it.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
And my favorite interior is 7B. I think that's just like the best.
Yeah, I would say 7B as well. I would say that's my favorite interior.
But like, yeah, I've definitely kind of, even with the Sonics, I used to be like, okay, 10th Doctors or like 11th Doctors, but like
Yeah,
now River Song Sonic is my favorite.
yeah. River Song Sonic was cool. I used to have a little toy at that
I do
kid.
have it somewhere. It's between her and the Masters Sonic. One of those two are the best.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get you.
Well, before we end and before you can plug any of your future projects or socials if you like, we ask this to everyone who comes on.
Okay.
Do you think Donna will be keeping her memories after the 60th?
Oh, that is a tough question. Uh I think she'll have her memories during the 60th. From
Yeah.
what I get, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it without her, the Doctor is.
Yeah.
I mean, but they could do, but I don't. I mean, they could do with Wilf, knowing the Doctor, but knowing that they can't fully. I don't know.
I just think it'll be too messy to do that.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think she will somehow have her memories. I'm still not convinced that it's all sort of like an illusion almost.
Yeah.
In terms of whether, I can't see them killing her off.
No.
I don't think they'll kill her off, but I could maybe see it going back to her not remembering him. I don't know, because it's difficult because they're meddling with stuff that people feel really sentimental about. It's not a new story.
You see, the way I feel about it is like, I definitely agree with that. With, David Tennant leaving at the end of time, I used to feel really sad if like I was watching that. But then even just thinking about him being back in the 50th, like, took away that blow massively. And now him coming back for the 60th takes away that blow even more. So
Yeah.
I do think, yeah, definitely, if they give her, let her keep her memories, it's going to take away from the series 4 finale. But equally, they're happy to bring David Tennant and kind of change some of those impacts, and maybe they are willing to do the same for Donna.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, if it's written well, I don't mind what happens, but they are on thin ice with it because people will get annoyed either way they go.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying, like I say, I'm trying to just enjoy it for what it is rather than put too much pressure on it.
Yeah, we don't want to.
That's my personal opinion.
That definitely happened with some of Chibnall's eras and even Moffat's eras towards the end.
Mm-hmm. I get you.
Well, would you have any? Obviously, I will be linking all of your socials down below. But do you have any projects that you maybe like to tease or anything?
You know what? I don't have any projects that I'm working on at my YouTube channel, which is just James Shaw. In terms of social media, I just mainly use Twitter, to be honest, out of it all. No projects in the works at the minute, but obviously, as we mentioned earlier on, with the 60th coming up in November, I'm sure I'll either be doing live streams where I discuss the episode with people in the chat afterwards, or I'll do like reviews after or something along those lines. So you can bet that something like that's coming. And like I say, that will just be on my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, for the people listening, there is a form to a survey to fill out in the description. As an hour after every podcast goes up, if you're in the Discord and have given yourself the Dalek drone roll, you can access a private video, how fancy, where I go down some of, looking at all the answers in the survey. Obviously, this, if you're listening to this now, you haven't fast forwarded, then it should be out because, it's been over an hour, this podcast, so it should be out. So you can go and enjoy that straight away. But thank you for listening, and thanks for coming on, James.
Thanks for inviting me on. I really enjoyed it, and I I look forward to listening to the other episodes as well.
Yes. Well, thanks for watching. Well, I always say watching, and it never is.
It's I could easily say the same thing.
I always do that. Well,
it's ingrained into you.
Yeah, it is. All of my outros all the same now. Thanks for listening, and I almost said it again there. And make sure you do the survey, subscribe, go follow and subscribe to James on all of his socials below. And goodbye.
Bye.